So those are our two objects, and we can increase this thing however we want, but it's fine. In order to make another start group here, what we can do is we can like append a cube here, and we'll take this cube and we'll scale it down. So I want this cube to have nothing to do with this object. So what's going to happen is if I don't put it in a new start group and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm going to go down here and we're going to do a subtool Boolean. We're going to turn on our live Boolean and we're going to say make Boolean mesh. Now we need to turn on dynamic subdiv because we did turn on dynamic subdiv to get these nice smooth shapes. If I have that off, it's going to basically Boolean this shape. Not what I want. So dynamic Boolean turned on, make Boolean mesh. And if we go up here to our U mesh or union mesh and we look at it, now this cube is sewn right onto this object, and it keeps your polygroups, it keeps your perfect geometry that you had, and it just basically interpolates between these two objects, or it cuts in edges as needed for these two objects here. And it's like, no, I wanted the square separately, and now I've got a weird hole in my square. Now it's perfect, so you can use that to your advantage too. But that's weird. So in order to not get that, let's go ahead and delete that. You got to go down here and you got to go to your cube here and you got to make a new start group. And now in this start group, what we can do is we can go to brush insert. Let's go to our insert mesh Boolean. I think Joseph just made a bunch of these. So if I go to my insert brush and I just choose one, so we choose this brush here. We have our live Boolean render on. It's not going to Boolean right now because it's part of the same object here. So we have this. Now if I want to change this, all I got to do is hit W and we can just cycle through all of these at once. But how do we see the Boolean effect of this? So what I'm going to do is, again, let's turn off the sticky mode here. If I go to my subtool split menu, we do split unmasked points. It's going to shoot this one down. And now it made it its own start group because it inherited the start group properties. Just turn that off. And now it's not part of the start group. And now we can go to subtractive. And now it's subtractive. And now I can go through here. I can rotate this thing around. I can hold down control and copy out copies and Boolean that way. Now I can also hit, with the gizmo turned on, I can still cycle through and choose a different one. It's like, I don't want that one. I wanted this one. Yeah, that's the one I wanted. So now I can go up here. I can scale this thing down. And I can hold down control, drag out a copy. And I'll off to the races. Now another thing I do is hold down control, unmask, hold down alt and reset this one, then control drag this down. We can do that as well. And you can also turn on X symmetry, so you can do it on both sides. Now because, if I go out of solo mode, I didn't do it on one side. It's a pretty easy fix. If I turn on my floor plane, you're going to see this is the middle of my world. This is, let's see, if we do a quick mirror and weld across the X, that'll go ahead and mirror and weld it across the X axis. And now we have it on both sides. So as I'm changing this side here, it's like, oh, I want those deeper. So I push it in further. It's going to go deeper on this side as well. So assuming I have X turned on, which I do. Now the other cool thing is, since I already have a subtractive mesh, if I go back in here and I choose another thing and I just draw that on here, it's already going to automatically be subtractive. Another thing you can do is if we go here to our brush options and we go down here to modifiers and we do the multi-mesh selector. If I change that to, let's do 1. So if you hover over this, you're going to see this is the multi-mesh selector. If you hold down control, it'll tell you what you're doing. It's going to cycle through the meshes. So I think with 1 selected, I pull this one out, pull this one out. So as I'm going through and pulling out new ones, it's just cycling through forward in that direction. You can cycle it forward, backwards, or just choose random. So if we go to 3, it'll just pull a random one like that. Cool. So that's with the subtractive mesh. So now, let's not pull down a random. Let's just grab the one we want. Let's say we want this one. Pull this one out. So this is the shapes we're getting right now. These are faceted. So let's hit D, dynamically subdivide. And then for this one, let's do another dynamic subdivision for this one. So we talked about geometry is, I'm going blind over here. So this is why I have my Dynamesh properties all in here. But for you guys, geometry, we have dynamic subdivisions turned on. It just kind of averages these edges. And it doesn't affect the Booleans at all. Those are just live Booleans. They're not union mesh yet, but they're live Booleans. So let's change this one from a smooth subdivision here to a Q grid. And we'll change that coverage here so we can kind of bevel these corners here. There we go. And now we've got these two. Now we have a start group for the cube. We have a start group for this part here. So now when we go to our make Boolean dynamic subdivision, make Boolean mesh, and we go up here to our U mesh now, we've got 2 subtools, 2 start groups. We got this one here, and we got this one here. So we go to this one, turn on polyframe, then we go to solo mode. That doesn't cut through or affect that object anymore. And then these objects are already cut right out of this object here, because we did a subtractive. So way to use those together.